NASCAR news in the last week has been spicy. How spicy, you may ask? Well, what about this lime juice? Is it that spicy? No, that's not really spicy. That's just kind of just makes you go, ugh, you know? Is it salsa? Mild? Spicy? It's spicier, I would say. Is it Red Hot Wings hot buffalo sauce spicy? Yes, it is. It is so freaking spicy in the NASCAR world right now. It all started earlier this week when the report came out that Fast Motorsports, they had no comment on if they were selling their charter, but there were rumors in the garage that potentially they could be selling to Spire, who could then lease that charter to Trackhouse for Zane Smith. Here we are just a few days later. News from Trackhouse Racing. Zane Smith is in the house, capitalized T and H. We've signed him for a multi-year driver agreement. My goodness. That's right, Zane Smith, one of the biggest remaining free agents in the NASCAR world, a young talent, a young prospect on a lot of people's radars, has not been signed to a deal for 2024 yet. So it was where's he gonna go? You look at the open cup seats as of 5 days ago. You had the 31, the Colleague 31, maybe the SHR 10. You had some back marker seats. I think like one of the Rick Ware seats is available. Outside of that, that's it. That's pretty much it. Everything else has been signed up. Trackhouse has been signed up. JGR, Hendrick, even you go to the mid-pack teams. You go to, like Front Row. They've signed their deals. That's why Zane Smith was a free agent in the first place, because Front Row opted to go with Todd Gilliland and Michael McDowell. Well, Zane Smith, after that, was allowed to go searching elsewhere. It was a matter of where would he go. He did not want to stay in the Truck Series, so would he go Xfinity? Would he go Cup? And if he went Cup, what team would he go to, and how competitive of a team would he go to? Well, it turns out that he would be going to a very competitive team. You look at, once again, at the opening seats, and you had a mid-pack team in Colleague. SHR is kind of trending towards mid-pack. But then you look at Spire, and Spire had an open seat, and they're trending up, but they're still mid-pack. But Trackhouse, when that report came out earlier in the week that Trackhouse was looking at Zane Smith and talking to him, but, they couldn't get anything done because they didn't have a charter, I was like, yeah, that's going to be the holdup. Zane Smith may get a Cup deal somewhere. He may go to Spire. He may kind of surprise us and go to Colleague. But I don't think he ends up at Trackhouse. I think technically he's going to be at Spire. I'll read you the details in a minute, but he has a deal with Trackhouse. That is the big deal of this thing, is that he has a signed contract with Trackhouse Racing. Zane Smith is going to be, at some point in the future, 2025 probably, a full-time Trackhouse Racing Cup Series driver. That is a huge steal for Trackhouse, first of all. Second of all, what a failure by Ford. No other way to put it. Zane Smith, off the top of my head, probably the top prospect for Ford right now, or was, it's now in the past tense, was the best prospect for Ford. And they fumbled him. They straight up fumbled him and gave it to the other team, Chevy, and Chevy is running back for a touchdown. They're at the 10, they're at the 5, they're in the end zone. So now, Zane Smith is a Chevy driver. Not only that, he's a Cup Series Chevy driver in a competitive Cup Series Chevy team. Wow. Ford they have had their issues the last couple of years. It has been going like this. Now, don't get me wrong, they are still winning races. Look at RFK, the resurgence of RFK. That has been a huge upside for Ford. Outside of that, well, you got Front Row. Front Row's taking some steps up. But outside of that, all right, outside of those two things, Ford has been all over the place. Team Penske this year has taken a significant step down after winning the championship last year with Joey Logano. Logano only has a win. Blaney only has a win. Austin Cindric missed the playoffs altogether. It's been a real struggle for him this year. Both Blaney and I think Blaney might have squeaked into the top 10 of the regular season points. Logano didn't make it in the top 10 of regular season points. You look at SHR. SHR since 2018 At first, it was a slight decline like this, but as of the next-gen car, or really since 2021, it has been like this. It has been a disaster. 2021, they only had how many wins they have in 2021? They only had one win with Eric Almirola. 2022, only 2 wins, well, 3 wins, 2 from Kevin Harvick, 1 from Chase Briscoe. This year, winless. 1 car in the playoffs, and that guy's leaving. So SHR is kind of a mess right now. And then you look at the opportunities Ford has had. In the summer/early fall of 2020, Ford had an opportunity to get Kyle Larson. Now, there was still a lot of controversy around Kyle Larson. There was still a lot of questions about the publicity he would bring in. Would it be negative? Would this be a bad look? Would sponsors jump on board? But Tony Stewart, co-owner of Stewart-Haas Racing, really wanted Kyle Larson. He knew he was a top talent. He knew he was a really good race car driver, and he knew that he could probably get Gene Haas to sponsor the car if necessary with his own company. Well, Ford said no. What did Larson do? Larson went to Hendrick Motorsports, a Chevrolet team. Rick Hendrick sponsored that car, and what did they do in their first year? 10 wins and a championship. Ever since then, SHR, as I said, has not even gotten close to 10 wins. Like, they don't have 10 wins since 2020. They have, as I said, the 1 from Almirola, and then the 3 in 2020. They have 4 wins over 2 3/4 of a season. Kyle Larson, in 1 season at Hendrick, his first season at Hendrick, had 10 wins. So Ford fumbled that one pretty bad. Then you go to this one. How Ford allowed this, I have no idea. They have been holding on to Eric Almirola a while. Eric Almirola, he's a good driver. He's got a few Cup Series wins. I don't want to disrespect him or anything, but Zane Smith has way more upside than Eric Almirola. I know that Smithfield sponsorship brings a lot to the table for SHR and, that team. But when Zane Smith was a free agent and when the rumors started going around that Eric Almirola was retiring, I was like, there's no way that Zane Smith does not end up at SHR in that number 10 car. What happened? Zane Smith did not end up at SHR in the number 10 car. Ford let Zane Smith go, essentially. They let him slip right through their fingers. Now, Zane Smith, once again, he's still young. There's still a lot of development left in his career. But he was their top prospect, I would say. I'm trying to think of another one. I really can't. Zane Smith was kind of the next big thing for Ford, and they fumbled him to Trackhouse and Chevy. Now, how did Trackhouse and Chevy get this deal together? Well, Live Fast Racing, after that report that they were thinking about selling their charter, has now confirmed that they have sold the charter. Here's what their statement said. Live Fast Motorsports is confirming they have sold their charter to Spire Motorsports. We will address the media in the coming time for further statements. We thank all of our partners, fans, and LFM employees for their following and dedication, and we plan to continue in a part-time schedule in 2024 with an open car. So, they're going to continue in 2024 with a part-time schedule and $40 million in the bank. Holy crap. Just saying that out loud is just mind-blowing. The fact that charters 5 years ago were $6 million, now they're $40 million. BJ McLeod and Matt Tifft are going to be paying for a lot of dinners in the upcoming years, but realistically, I think they're going to invest that back in the team. If not, BJ McLeod is going to invest his portion into his Xfinity team, if I had to guess. But it all started with that. BJ McLeod and Matt Tifft selling their charter to Spire Motorsports. Spire has a third charter now. They already had 2 to begin with Corey LaJoie, the second one with Ty Dillon. Ty Dillon's future up in the air. It's doubtful he'll return. Many people think it's going to be Carson Hocevar in that 77 car next year. So that leaves the third charter. They paid $40 million for it. They just got this recent big sponsorship deal from Gainbridge. I'm assuming that's where some of the money came from. Well, now that they are out $40 million, what do you do with the charter? Do you lease it? Do you use it for yourself for a third team? Why not both? That's essentially what they have done here. They have reached an agreement in a sense with, to my understanding, the way I'm picking up on it, is that they have reached an agreement with, Spire has reached an agreement with Trackhouse that they can use the charter, like they can put one of their contracted drivers into the third Spire car, but still racing under Spire's name. Bob said Spire Motorsports has purchased a third charter for 2024. They haven't said which team. Well, this was before Live Fast confirmed it. And Trackhouse and Spire have formed an alliance for Zane Smith to drive full-time and Cup for Spire next year. So yeah, from what I am reading, that's essentially what it is. Whereas if Spire were to lease the charter to Trackhouse, Trackhouse will be operating everything. They would give them the charter so that they can run the car, and Zane Smith would be racing directly for Trackhouse. He would be in a Trackhouse built car owned by Trackhouse. Everything would be Trackhouse except for the charter that would be leased from Spire. Whereas this, it's an alliance. So here is Trackhouse. Here is Spire. They have shaken hands and they have said, all right, here's the deal. We still own the charter. We still operate a third Cup Series team. But since we now have an alliance, we've shaken hands. You, Trackhouse, can put the driver that you want into our car. We're both Chevy teams. We can sort this out. You guys have a contract with Zane Smith now, a multi-year deal, and Trackhouse said that it goes well into the future. We have now shaken hands. We have a deal. Zane Smith can be in our car. We have an alliance. We give you the car, the team, or we provide the team and the car for you. You provide the driver. It goes under the Spire Motorsports name, but it's a Trackhouse driver. There you go. There is your deal. So yes, Zane Smith is now officially a Trackhouse racing driver, but he will be racing for Spire Motorsports in 2024. Wow. This is mind-blowing. When this first report came out, as I said the other day, I was not certain that it would happen. There were just too many things that had to happen, and Live Fast said they had no comment, which to me was like, okay, they're actually looking to sell, but who says that they're going to actually sell it to Trackhouse or Spire? Well, then everything in that report came true. Live Fast sold to Spire, who is now using that charter for Trackhouse and Zane Smith. There are so many moving pieces, so much math. I suck at math usually, but I personally think I did a decent job explaining that. If you think I did a terrible job, ask me to do better, and I will do it in written form in the comments. It's a very confusing situation, but we are about, at the time of recording, we are about an hour from green flag at Bristol Motor Speedway. But the big news pre-race is that Live Fast has officially sold its charter for, well, the number's not official, but it's official that they've sold the charter, but once again, reportedly for $40 million. What a big number. Ford has choked away Zane Smith, which is why I'm wearing this hat. If I am Ford, then I would be wearing this hat. I'm not Ford, but you get the point. Anyways, next step of business, Spire now has a third charter, a third team, but they have a Trackhouse driver in that car. So, yeah. Any other developments, any other changes, I will let you guys know. But 2025, Trackhouse wants to have 3 full-time cars. It seems like maybe 4. I don't know what they're going to do with SVG. So many questions right now. But Trackhouse has signed a contract with Zane Smith. That is the big topic of this video. We've talked about all the other stuff. This video is going on too long. I got to get ready for the race. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the race tonight. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening because we're going to have a fun race at Bristol, hopefully tonight if the weather's not mean.